Right, we're a little bit late, so treasurer call the roll, please.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Here.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Here.
Mr. Glista. Here. Mr. Trimmer. Here. Mr. Wallace.
Here. Approval of minutes, June 1st, 2014 special meeting minutes, June 26th, 2014 special meeting minutes, and June 26th, 2014 regular meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Under Finance, item 1, recommend approval of the financial report for the month of June 2014.
So moved.
Second. Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Item number 2, recommend approval of accounts payable, payroll, and benefits expenditures for June 2014. So moved.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Item 3, recommend approval of the lunchroom financial status report, accrual basis fiscal 2014.
So moved. Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Item 4, recommend approval of continued membership in Ohio Schools Council and their cooperative purchasing for fiscal 2014-15 at a cost of $986.10. Meter cost of $962.06. Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Item 5, recommend approval of a dental plan administrative services agreement with Medical Mutual of Ohio for the October 1st, 2014 through September 30th, 2015 period. Administrative cost will be $3.29 per employee per month. Prior agreement was $3.19 per employee per month. Payment will be from the dental plan fund.
So moved.
Second. Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Item 6, recommend approval of an amended certificate of resources for fiscal year 2014-15.
So moved.
Second. Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Item 7, recommend the renewal of 2 5-year posted meter lease agreements for West Branch High School and for West Branch Middle School for the period August 1st, 2014 through July 31st, 2019 at a cost of $283.28 per month in total, or $3,399.36 annually in total. Agreement includes an annual non-appropriation clause, leases the State of Ohio Department of Administrative Services master leasing agreement, and is based on the state bid pricing. Prior 5-year lease was at a cost of $283.36 per month in total, or $3,400.32 in total. So moved. Second. Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
And we have 2 finance items on the agenda. Item 1, recommend approval of Griffin Insurance Agency, National Guardian Life Insurance Company, as the student insurer provider for the 2014-2015 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Item 2 on the addendum, recommend approval of a not-to-exceed fixed price of $4.30 per, what's it called? Decatherm for the purchase of natural gas from Hess Energy Marketing, LLC, a direct energy company for delivery, September 1st, 2014 through August 31st, 2015. A 1-year contract option, or $4.30 per decatherm for the purchase of natural gas from Hess Energy Marketing, LLC, a direct energy company for delivery, September 1st, 2014 through August 31st, 2016, a 2-year contract option, or $4.30 per decatherm for the purchase of natural gas from Hess Energy Marketing, LLC, a direct energy company for delivery, September 1st, 2014 through August 31st, 2017, a 3-year contract option. Whew.
I guess I was being a little too official there.
So moved.
Second. Treasurer call the roll, please.
I wanted to hear you keep saying that.
Could you repeat that?
Mr. Trimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Glista?
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie?
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Waltz?
Yes. Nothing under accounts payable. Recognitions, Dr. Weinberger.
We have several, and this is always one of my favorite things to do. I'm going to read the All-A list. This is for the last 9 weeks. At Damascus Elementary, 2nd grade, Jared Bates, Mary Bueller, Ethan Cannon, Cale Davis, Aubrey Dredge, O'Neill Everett, Griffin Flickinger, Riley Hendershot, Jade Howell, Andrea Janicek, Trey Jones, Madeline Clemman, Madeline Klingensmith, Samantha Conable, Brody Mardick, James McCune Jr., Shaylee Muckleroy, Addison Reynolds, Savannah Rufroff, Emma Sainer, Hunter Shields, Olivia Showalter, Bryn Smith, Kenneth Starcher, Nicole Stouffer, Aaron Tucker, and Karis Yarwood. 3rd grade, Mason Barnett, Lydia Kukovic, Clayton Courtney, Anna Curry, Hayden Detweiler, Reed Everett, Kyle Graham, Jacob Grindley, Haley Hazelbaker, Michael Kanegi, Micaiah Kutz.
No, I think it's Coots.
All right. Well, see, the kids aren't here to help me, so you guys have to help me. Luke Mackel, Connor Mayle, Charity Rastetter, Ellis Kafinsky, Emily Sproul, Reed Williams, and Allison Zion. And in the 4th grade, Caleb Adams, Alyssa Barnett, Peyton Bell, Kennedy Close, Dakota Hayes, Jackson Hendershot, Kirsten Hoffman, Elizabeth McCune, Tori Shields, Jed Smith, and Nick Wilson. At Knox Elementary in the 2nd grade, Bo Alazos, Skylar Cunningham, Haley Four, Sophia Gregory, Tava Hagan, Carter Hawk, Lillian Johnson, Emmy Jones, Emma Kaczynski, Rosianna Mandel, Justice Moore, Naya Munoz, Sativa Oblesk, Kenny Randlett, Jackson Robb, Kate Slutz, Lillian Smith, and Blake Thomas. In the 3rd grade, Hudson Brink, Claire Brunner, Hannah Birchfield, Jocelyn Cart, Mitchell Coffey, Zach Crutchley, Hannah Egley, Brady Glover, Alexis Gregory, Allison Hartzell, Noah Johnson, Logan McConnell, Dominic Ormiston, Chelsea Tharp. 4th grade, Grayson Adams, Amber Carruthers, Donovan Conrad, Asa DeSanzo, Hayden Hawk, Addison Jones, Alexandra Jones, Austin Joseph, Gianna Reale, and Jasik Strutz. The middle school in the 5th grade, Bryson Adams, Jordan Anderson, Alyssa Augustine, Destiny Blake, J.D. Brain, Cameron Bryceland, Olivia Bueller, O'Neill Cardinal, Justin Cedarbloom, Andrew Coffey, Jimmy Cranston, Amanda Davidson, Emma Egley, Alexis Fadre, Collie Flickinger, Anna Fye, Abigail Gay, Danielle Harrison, Gabrielle Harrison, Ashley James, Jeffrey Legros, Nico Maffei, Josie Malott, Sydney Milliken, Ethan Overy, Hannah Schubert, Brock Smith, Abby Stevens, Mackenzie Walsh, Grace Weingart, and Ian Yarwood. In the 6th grade, Peyton Alazos, Brianna Blevins, Nick Everett, Brogan Fisher, Blaine Flickinger, Bo Greshaw, Allison Heffinger, Haley Jones, Gavin Sleek, Sydney McQuilkin, Hannah Moore, Molly Peterson, Ashlyn Pinkerton, Samantha Plocker, Hannah Ridgway, Jameson Robb, Madison Showwater, Landon Steitel, Reagan Whipkey, and Danon Woodthwaite. In the 7th grade, Mackenzie Baxter, Michaela Bell, Tegan Boggs, Sierra Bush, Thomas Caserta, Grace Heath, Jeff Joseph, Colin Laznak, Griffin Lowe, Annie Menegay, Amanda Minnick, Elizabeth Ostadali, DeCarly Pagnucco, Delaney Rito, Emily Robb, Jonathan Ross, Olivia Sexton, Gabby Smith, Megan Vance, Michaela Wallace, and Tessa Wells. In the 8th grade, next page, Brianna Berry, Kylie Kofelt, Tyler DeShields, Alexia Diddick, Olivia Diddick, Madeline Hinkle, Deanna Katabi, Delaney Pagnucco, Kirsten Plocker, Emily Sainer, Allison Slutz, Hannah Sprague, Benjamin St. John, Kyler Strotz, and Jared Sutton. At the high school level, Zoe Bailey, freshman, Zoe Bailey, Carl Bates, Joshua Davidson, Amanda Dean, Emma Griffith, Mike Jones, Alexis Ludwig, Rena Rito, Grace Skolosh, and Jenna Smith. Sophomores, Brandon Baum, Elsa Bueller, Haley Davis, Matthew Heffinger, Danny Lowe, Lauren Steidel, Megan Winters. Juniors, Leah Bach, Alexandru Buga, Nate Coy, Ashley Emick, Sarah Fraser, Mason Hughes, Hannah Jarvis, Cody Parks, Marcus Reed, Lindsay Rice, Melinda Trimmer, Brandon Utley, and Sarah Weber. And the seniors, for the last time here, Aaron Carver, Rachel Carver, Ben Dickerhoop, Madison Estock, Alexandria Garrett, Dylan Greenewalt, Dustin Kober, Haley Kozar, Amanda Linhart, Kate Lowry, Cheyenne Miller, Caitlin Mountain, Jeremy Truex, and Dylan Walker. Congratulations to those students. And when we get back to school in the fall, after the first 9 weeks, we'll start inviting these kids to the auditorium as we've done in the past, but still like to read their names.
Still a nice list. WBEA comments, WBCA comments, visitor comments. This time you have the opportunity for public participation regarding the rehiring of the following retirees: Christy Berry and Mary Lynn Cameron. Comments, we have correspondence, report to the board, old business, on the new business. Item 1, recommend approval to compensate the following parents for in lieu of transportation for the 2014-15 school year at the established IRS mileage rate for round-trip mileage from home to school 2 times daily for days in attendance. Karen Suggett and Denise Dixon.
So moved.
Second. That was a motion.
Yeah, that was a motion.
That was a
Sorry.
yawn motion.
I was trying to get it out.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mr. Glista? Yes. Mrs. Carnegie?
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes. Item 2, recommend approval to compensate Jennifer Bates for in lieu of transportation for 2014, whatever ESY, at the established IRS mileage rate for round-trip mileage from home to school 2 times daily for days in attendance.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mrs. Carnegie?
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Glista? Yes. Mr. Walls?
Yes. Item 3, recommend approval of additions and/or corrections to the policy manual regarding preschool. First reading is shown in Exhibit 1.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mrs. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Glista?
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes. Item 4, recommend approval to enter into an agreement with Voice for a 1-year service plan for the 2014-2015 school year, estimated at $4,037.50. Last year was $4,013. And this is our one-call service, correct?
Correct.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mr. Trimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Glista? Yes. Mrs. Carnegie?
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes. Item 5, recommend approval to the athletic boosters to operate concession stands during all home athletic events for the 2014-2015 school year.
So moved. Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mr. Glista? Yes. Mrs. Carnegie?
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes. Item 6, recommend approval to the band boosters to operate concession stand during all home varsity football games during the 2014-2015 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mrs. Carnegie?
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Glista? Yes. Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Sorry.
Item 7, recommend acceptance of the following gifts and donations. American Legion George D. Worth to the National Honor Society, $100. Sebring West Branch Community Foundation, high school, I do not know what PSSF stands for.
Principals Support Fund.
Okay. Art supplies, $298.23. MSPIE, middle school PIE, middle school equipment, $500. Knox PTO, the Knox Principal Support Fund, $1,709.60 for field trips. West Branch Athletic Boosters, girls softball, $135. Salem Community Center Knox Principals Supply Fund, $262.84, and the White Family Living Trust for the FFA for $100.
The one comment about that, the Sebring West Branch Community Foundation donation for the art supplies was in memory of Ms. Bradley, the
Mrs. Bradley.
the former
Art
art teacher.
Yeah, high
Through
school.
the Sebring West Branch Community Foundation.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Item 8, under Personnel, recommend approval to employ Brooke Lancy as an elementary art teacher for the 2014-15 school year with continued insurance benefits through the summer.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Item B, recommend approval to employ Jennifer Fee as a kindergarten teacher for the 2014-2015 school year. Is it 5 or 8?
No, I thought it was 5.
5, Jennifer 5, sorry.
Long way. Sorry.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Item C, recommend approval to accept the resignation of Linda Wallace as an aide effective July 31st, 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Item D, recommend approval to accept the resignation of Michael Celeroli as an aide effective July 31st, 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Item E, recommend approval to employ Kayla Rolston as a school counselor for the 2014-2015 school year pending certification. I believe she's here. So welcome aboard.
Ms. Ralston, why don't you stand up and say hello to everybody, and then we can visit a little bit after the meeting.
Okay.
Nice to see you. Thank you for coming out.
Nice. Love you. Thanks for having me here.
Welcome aboard.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll.
Okay.
Thank you, Honor.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Item F, recommend approval to employ Tom Priest. Is it Priesty or Priest? Priesty?
I don't know.
What's the proper pronunciation?
Price.
Price, as a social studies teacher for the
German.
2014-15 school year, pending certification.
So moved. Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Item D, recommend approval to employ Ken Harris as a math teacher for the 2014-2015 school year, pending certification.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Item H, recommend approval for time and a half rates of paid confidential employees for all non-contracted work.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Item I, recommend approval for Scott Weingart, superintendent, to carry forward unused vacation days not to exceed 5 days from the 2013-14 school year to the 2014-15 school year.
So moved. Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Item J, recommend approval of the following to be volunteer drivers to transport personal property for the 2014-15 school year, pending approval from the fleet carrier, Anthony Morelli and David Fisher.
So moved. Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Item K, recommend approval due to the Affordable Care Act that all employees who qualify for insurance and who work an average of 30 hours a week will be responsible for 10% of their health insurance premiums for an employee-only plan. All other plans will follow the negotiated agreement amounts.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Item L, recommend approval of extended time for the following staff positions for the 2014-15 school year as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mrs. McLaughlin.
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer.
Yes.
Mr. Glista.
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Item N, recommend approval to employ the following as Title I staff for the 2014-2015 school year as listed.
So moved.
Second. Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mr. Trimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Glista?
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie?
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes. Item N, recommend approval to grant supplemental contracts for the following for the 2014-2015 school year in accordance with the terms of the negotiated agreement between the WBEA and the West Ranch Board of Education pending certification, as listed. It's a big list.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mr. Glista?
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie?
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Abstain. Item O, recommend approval to establish salary schedule for the middle school assistant principal, as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mrs. Carnegie?
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Glista?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes, we have several items on the new business on the addendum. Item 1, recommend approval to accept bids for a 47-passenger handicapped accessible school bus chassis and body from Myers Equipment Corporation and Rush Corporation.
So moved. Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mr. Trimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Glista?
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie?
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes. Item 2, recommend approval to award a contract for one 47-passenger handicapped accessible school bus chassis and body to Myers Equipment Corporation at a base bid price of $71,953 and options of $10,847 for a total price of one chassis and body of $82,800, partially paid with straight A transportation funds through the state of Ohio.
So moved.
Second.
Do we know when delivery will be?
Yeah, well, we haven't, I think I remember reading that it was 5 to 6 months ago. It was
Towards the end of the year.
150 to 180 days, I think they said.
Is this thing going to custom make this then?
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, our current one needs to retire, so the sooner the better.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mr. Glista?
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie?
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes. Under Personnel, item A, recommend approval to accept the resignation of Jill Garimo as school counselor effective July 31st, 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mrs. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Glista?
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes. Item B, recommend approval to grant a supplemental contract to Matt Thomas as co-head girls soccer coach for the 2014-2015 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mr. Trimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Glista?
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie?
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes. Item C, recommend approval to grant a supplemental contract to Richard Moore as co-assistant high school band director for the 2014-2015 school year pending certification.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mr. Glista?
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie?
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes. Item D, recommend approval of the following van drivers for the 2014-2015 school year pending certification as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mrs. Carnegie?
Yes.
Mrs. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Glista?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes. Need a motion to go into executive session to consider the employment of a public employee, no action taken.
Motion.
Second.
Treasurer call the roll, please.
Mrs. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Trimmer?
Yes.
Mr. Glista?
Yes.
Mrs. Carnegie?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.